guys, welcome back to Mental Health and Makeup, where I talk about my mental health experiences with a certain topic whilst also doing my makeup. Kind of like the Bailey Sarian type, but instead of murder, it's makeup. So this is my second video so far, so still quite new to it, and yeah, still learning the ropes basically, but I've hopefully got a better lighting setup at the moment. It is now the 6 weeks holiday, so the children are at home permanently. So I'm going to try and sort of make my way around that. But today I'm going to be talking about bullying and also linking it to the short video that I made for Instagram and YouTube Shorts and TikTok about my experience with being bullied, about being Gothic and liking the Addams family, which isn't just a random thing. It will make sense as I talk about it in the video. So if you haven't already seen the reel that I popped on Instagram, and at this point it should be on TikTok and YouTube Shorts as well, then go and check it out so that you know what I'm talking about. It's just a fun little video, but I think it's powerful. So yeah, this makeup look is going to be quite simple today. Slightly dark, shadowy eye, nothing too extravagant, nothing too creative, just a simple look. So I hope that you enjoy it. And if you want to get a drink or get a coffee, pause the video, do so now. I've got my coffee up here, and it's very fitting because I've got my Gothic mug as well, so I thought that I would go with the theme of the video. Very nice. Little vanilla soya latte. Yum yum yum. If you can hear small voices, it's because for some reason my mum has an extremely loud voice, and although she's downstairs you can still probably hear her. I also have my little cat Salem in the room, so if she makes an appearance, just go with the flow. Salem, she's currently trying to get into my wardrobe. Salem, Salem. She's like stretching her arm into the gap. I'm not sure what's going on with my hair. I brushed it and just thought I'd pop it back in a headband to go out of my way, but for some reason this piece is just not complying. It doesn't want to do what it's told. Okay, so when I was about 18 months old, and I know this from what my mum said to me, I don't just miraculously remember being that being that young. Sorry, it's still early in the morning for me. Basically, my mum and dad, the dynamic in the relationship wasn't very good, and I know you're probably thinking this is not about relationships, this is about bullying, but this is just a little bit of a starter to the story, so bear with me please. So basically I started becoming quite stressed out whenever my parents would argue, and I used to go like this with my hair, and although nothing came of that, my parents split up, things got a little bit easier for me because there wasn't that toxic dynamic within the house. Relationships were better, but basically I started school as the years went by, and I started getting bullied at quite a young age. When I say bullied, obviously people are probably thinking, but how do you get bullied at such a young age? Well, people were just horrible to me, people segregated me for some reason. I think, you know, looking back now, I was quite a different child. I liked things that perhaps other young girls didn't like because of having two older brothers, and I was just different. I got on better with adults. Yeah, I often found that I was playing on my own. The things that I used to say and do, people used to pick on, because that's what kids are like. They just don't understand how much it can affect someone. Oh my gosh, the cat is banging on the bath. Oh my gosh, that's so annoying. She'll get bored. So yeah, started getting picked on, and I'd say I think it was about, I was about 5 or 6, and basically I started really just feeling what was going on. It was really not good for me, really struggling, and my hair started falling out. Bear in mind I was only about 5 or 6, like I said, and I was the kind of child who didn't really say what I was feeling. I didn't really explain what was going on in my life to my mum, to my teachers, and the hair loss was just becoming quite concerning for my mum and, well, everyone basically. And because my hair was falling out, people would pick on me for that as well. So basically just a vicious cycle, and I just carried on. But then one day my teachers noticed the reason my hair was falling out is because when I was stressed I would rip it out, but subconsciously. So I didn't even realise that I was doing it, which is concerning. And after many tests and after this realisation, I was diagnosed with a stress disorder called trichotillomania, which is a condition, an anxiety sort of stress condition, where you rip your own hair out, whether it's subconsciously or purposely. You either rip at your eyelashes, your eyebrows, or your hair. For me, it was my hair, and not just in small pieces either. I ripped chunks of my hair out to the point where follicles were becoming weak and my hair just started falling out on its own, even when I wasn't pulling it. So meanwhile I was still being bullied, and then the more and more hair I lost, the more I was getting bullied again, because of the fact that I had bald patches on my head and very, very thin hair. So this obviously wasn't helping. So the years went by anyway, and there isn't essentially a cure for trichotillomania. It's you know, it's an anxiety, stress related disorder, so it's not exactly something that can just be like, oh yeah, let's cure it. So as the years went by, you know, we monitored it and I got better, and luckily my hair grew back. But that was only the start of things, because when I was in year 5, my stepdad, my brother's dad, I call him my stepdad, he wasn't my stepdad, but he was my brother's dad, and I was very close to him. Basically one evening on 11th of November, well, it was early in the morning actually, we got a bang on the door to say that he had passed away. I was only 10 at this point, and so I really struggled with that. I didn't know what the hell was going on, but then later found out that he had tragically fallen down the stairs of his sister's apartment, and unfortunately, I won't go into details, but that took his life, unfortunately. He passed away from his injuries, and my family and I had no idea how to cope. And although I was only 10, I basically was the strongest one in the family, and that's quite a lot to take on at such a young age. But moving on from that, so that I struggled with hugely. And then when I went into secondary school, that's when things got hella bad, basically. As soon as I started year 7, so I loved the idea of learning. I loved being a geek, basically. I loved going to my lessons. I loved learning about different topics. I loved the challenge because, as I said earlier, I was quite different to people my age. I was reading books that were a lot older than what I should be reading. I got on better with adults, so my relationships with the teachers were positive, and my my levels of work were just going up and up and up. All until the bullying started again. Little baby year 7s, who were so scared at first, started growing their confidence and found that little tiny short Luna was an amazing target. So I don't know what was going on in their lives, which is something that I'm starting to try and realise now, that everyone has got something going on in their lives, and that's clearly the reason why they're doing what they're doing. Even if that's peer pressure or just something else, but you don't just bully for no reason, surely. And I'm trying to see that from people's perspectives now. But back then, it was just not okay. I was a child myself, and I was really, really struggling, and I was becoming scared of everything. I remember one of the boys in my year, we were standing in line to show our teacher a piece of work that we'd made in technology, and he just randomly said to me, "Do you know that you're going to grow up and just be a midget and a dwarf?" And I remember just going, I just walking away thinking, number one, what kind of insult is that? Number two, just why? You could have quite easily just not said that. So the bullying, that was sort of just slight picking on, but it was like every day, so it was like just getting old, really. And basically it got worse and worse and worse. I remember one of the days my friend and I were walking down the corridor, and a group of year 11s, bear in mind we were in year 7, used an umbrella to trip me up and then hit me on the back and make me completely fall over, and then taunt me as I was trying to get up. And I remember that just terrified me, because I was like, oh wow, it's not just the people in my year, it's older people as well. So yeah, that was one of the experiences that was just horrible and definitely did not give me hope. And then I just continued and continued. As the years went by, I was like followed to school and back, had apples thrown at me and my friends, cans of Coke, bottles of water, just anything that these people could find, they would just chuck at us. They would make our uniform get wet and smelly, and when we got to school, I remember my uniform was wet and it smelled basically, and one of the kids in my class was so horribly open about this, and I just remember being so terrified that I was frozen. I couldn't move, I couldn't speak. I was just like, how do I get out of this situation? And once I'd finished that class, I remember just asking my friend, I was like, have you got any spray? Like, you know, whatever those kids threw at us, it's making my uniform, my blazer smell, and I'm further getting picked on for it. So yeah, I can't remember sort of everything that happened, but things were just getting worse and worse, and it was just every day I was being called ugly, emo, goth, and I was basically picked on for liking things like the Addams Family and rock music. And that's where the short video that I made comes in. So basically, coffee break. Oh my gosh, I needed that. So basically, people in primary school and secondary school used to take the mick out of the fact that I loved the Addams Family and Tim Burton and things that were like Gothic. I was into pop punk bands, rock music, metal music, because my brothers are 11 and 13 years older than me, and they were into this new rock stage, and they'd have all their mates around, and it's like my brother said to me yesterday, he was like, well, what do you expect? Your best friends were basically 20-year-olds. And I think that that's also why I was so different as a child, because from the moment I was born, I was brought into their era basically. Even as a young girl, I was brought into this era of metal, and it wasn't so much about Barbie dolls and Bratz for me. They would put on Pokemon, Dragon Ball Z, and I don't even remember listening to a young person's kind of music. It was literally Panic at the Disco, Fall Out Boy, Avenged Sevenfold, Good Charlotte, Skindred, like it was everything like that. And even from a young age I would go to concerts and wear like stripy tights underneath like knee high shorts and like Converse, and I loved it and I felt like me. But from the outside looking in, people were just so horrible to me about it, and it's pretty much all I'd ever known. So, and I liked it. I shouldn't change for anyone. And yeah, I loved Tim Burton, Nightmare Before Christmas, basically the dark sort of gothic things. And I was picked on so much about it. And Wednesday Addams was basically my spirit animal. I loved the Addams family. It was so me and I felt so heard. And the video that I made and released on Instagram, TikTok and etc. is basically the fact that back in the day I was taken the pee out of for loving things like that. And those very people who slammed anyone who enjoyed that stuff back then, as soon as Wednesday the series came out, they were just into it. And it was like, oh, Wednesday the Addams family, oh, I'll dance with my hands. And I had this moment where I was like, what the fuck? What the actual hell? Like, these people took the piss out of me for enjoying this. And then they just love it now. And I was like, I said to Lewis, my other half, I was like, I don't understand. Like, I know people change, but this sort of thing back then was seen as like, oh, it's weird and it's creepy and you're a weirdo for liking that. And now it's like, everyone loves it. And yeah, I'm like an OG Wednesday fan. But yeah, it's just funny how things change. It's like, I used to wear glasses in school, or boys used to wear glasses and be geeks. I'm a happy geek. I love anything like that. I'm a nerd as well. But back in the day, they were used as slander. They were used as not very nice words. And yet then people started realising, like, oh, it's cool to wear glasses. And then people were wearing glasses without lenses. And I was like, we got picked on for that. Then it became cool, like, we're the trendsetters. But yeah, so not to make light of bullying, but that's where the Wednesday themed video came from for me. But yeah, so carrying on the story, sorry, I just stopped doing my makeup, like, I think I forgot what kind of video this was. Just ignoring the glass of water I've got and just going for the coffee. But yeah, so to carry on the story, basically bullying got a lot worse. I was terrified to go to school. I was followed home. I had my hair ripped out by people. I was targeted just all the time. I remember being targeted because I spelt a word right. So I remember that basically I was in one of our theory dance lessons in GCSE stage, and for some reason I was targeted after that because I spelt, so the teacher said, can anyone spell the word aesthetically? And let's face it, quite a difficult word to spell. And one of the boys who was in my dance class, he tried to spell it and got it wrong. And so I'd had my hand up before that anyway, so the teacher came to me and I spelt it right, which obviously pissed him off. But after that, because I spelt it right, I was a geek, I was a nerd, I was, you know, all the names under the sun. And yeah, so that was like one of the examples. Yeah, very small silly things, but looking at it now I'm like, maybe he felt insecure, maybe he felt that I had taken away his limelight, which I apologise for, but I shouldn't apologise for my own, you know, for getting things right. That was only one of the minor things. Like I said, being followed home and being threatened and being, you know, physically assaulted. So I remember one of the things that sort of topped things off, I think I was in year 9 or 10, and was on our way home from school, and we had this thing called the Rec, which was like a field directly outside of school that we had to walk home through to get to the road where we walked the rest of the way. And basically there was this group of boys, and they were messing around, and we were just walking through minding our own business, and these boys took it upon themselves to run over to us and start throwing, like, so the grass had just recently been mowed. Yeah, I'm sure that that's the right word. And they just thought they'd start throwing grass at us, so started to run to try and get away, covered in grass at this point. And then they thought that it would be a good idea to knock us to the floor. I remember the rest of my friends were running away at this point. They knocked my friend to the floor, and I obviously am not going to leave her behind. They were trying to get her phone, and she was on the floor in between all of these lads, and I ran back for her, got her up, told her to run as they were attempting to kick her, and then she got away but I didn't, and they were, well, the one that had got me was putting me in a headlock, and the only way that I could get out of this headlock was to dig my fingernails into the person's arm so that he would loosen his grip, and that's the only way I could get away. And basically, sorry, I don't know which brush to use, there we go, found the right one. And basically he had me so tight around the neck that I had got whiplash from it. The way I'm describing it does not sound as bad as it was, but it was terrifying, it was horrible, I was in pain, scared, and a teacher witnessed all of this. I went home, I rang my mum and told her what had happened, and I was in so much pain with my neck that I had to go to the doctors, and he said that I'd got whiplash, and I was crying, I was scared, and he was like, give us some time off school to recover, basically. Which in turn impacted my grades, which is not cool, and so I'm the one that suffered with that. So I remember I had about 2 weeks off school to recover both physically and mentally from that. And the boy who headlocked me got a day's exclusion. A day. For physically assaulting someone. And when my mum said that we wanted to get the police involved, the school begged us not to. So we didn't. And my thoughts now as an adult, with an adult's brain, hopefully, is if that were to happen when we were older, so for instance say now, the police would definitely get involved and that person would suffer consequences, because that is a physical attack. But instead the school refused to do that, and they 1 day exclusion, so the boy essentially had a free day off to do whatever they wanted. And I, bear in mind, was terrified to go back to school, and I didn't want to go to my classes. I was terrified of walking through school in case I saw the boys that did it. And yeah, I wasn't able to go to my classes when I first went back to school because my anxiety was too bad. So I was chaperoned by my head of house at school, and I remember being triggered when I saw the boy who did it. He just walked around absolutely fine while I was there terrified of everything. And after things sort of went back to normal, my grades started declining. I was still being bullied. The school were doing absolutely nothing to help. My mental health was declining. My grades were going down and down. Sorry if I'm repeating myself. And my quality of life was just not very good, I'm not gonna lie. My mum was doing her best to try and tell the school. I was doing my best to try and tell the school, but it seemed that teachers were weirdly friends with some of these people who were picking on me. And although you say like, oh, these people, they're sort of popular, and the teachers are like, oh, don't be silly, that's not a thing. And it's like, yeah, okay, sure. And basically you're made to feel like it's all in your head. So if you've experienced bullying, which I'm sure most of you have, I'm sure that your teachers probably didn't do anything and made you feel like it was all in your head as well, which is not great. It's not ideal. Yeah, so basically it got a lot worse. This was happening every day. The following home from school, the throwing things, and then my best friend died, and I just sort of hit a wall. Things got so much worse. She was my life, and I remember going back to school very soon after she passed away, and people were spreading rumours that I had got what she died from, which is very triggering. It's not very nice, and yeah, things just weren't improving. The school told me to get over her death. I was being shouted at and moaned at for not achieving certain grades, which in itself is kind of bullying by teachers. They were ignoring the fact that I was literally depressed as a 15-year-old girl trying to do my GCSEs. They were neglecting my needs, neglecting the fact that I was not mentally well because of what had happened, and nothing was being done. It was just being ignored. They were watching this happen and they were ignoring it, and that is not okay. To any teachers watching this, listen to your pupils and take it very seriously, because what happened to me could have ended very badly, to the point where I wouldn't have been here right now if circumstances were different. So I basically had a breakdown at school, and that's when I was diagnosed with autism, reactive depression, social anxiety, mild social phobia, tic disorder, and extreme anxiety. And the school still didn't do much, even though I'd got a label now. Let me just finish my coffee because it's going cold and I'm not wasting this. No more coffee breaks, no more. So things got so bad, I ended up rebelling, and I was just like, I'm not coming to that lesson because you're being an arse to me. And quite literally, I would be very blunt about those things, because I was being targeted about my grades declining whilst no one else in the class was being moaned at. And that's all because I was a high achiever as well. They didn't want the grades to go down. I know that I sound quite sassy when I'm talking about this, but when you have been just pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed for so long by younger people, and the people who you are meant to confide in, the people who are meant to keep you safe within school, aren't listening to you and are basically degrading you even more, but ignoring the source of the source of the issue. And if they're not going to sort out the problem that's causing this decline in grades, then you're basically just talking to a brick wall. You feel like you're not able to do anything, because you're trying to tell them, this is why I'm struggling. They're not doing anything about it, and they're moaning at you for struggling. So yeah, things got so bad, I was basically removed from school by my mum because I was self-harming, and I didn't want to be alive anymore, and that's not okay. A young person should not feel like that. Young people should feel free, they should feel, you know, in their best. They shouldn't feel like that. And the doctors immediately said to my mum, don't send her back to school. So I was removed from school. The school tried to take my mum to court about it, but luckily that all faded. And yes, I did very well with my GCSEs despite not having many lessons and despite not having help from the school. But yes, fast forward to college. I was doing really well at college, but then I basically stepped in when a group of my friends were picking on one of my other friends, and I'm not the type to sit back and watch that. So I intervened and I tried to say, you know, it's not okay to gang up on one person. I mean, it's not okay to gang up on anyone, but especially when someone is alone and they are, you know, you've got this group of people here and you've got this one person. It's just easier for that group to completely smother and destroy that one person. So I stepped in, and then because I stepped in, those group of people started ignoring me, started saying things about me, and it just made the whole experience of college just a bit crap. But it was nothing too bad, nothing compared to secondary school. And then as I got older, I started getting tattoos and piercings, and I remember, well, I say remember, it's basically as I am now. Older people will just call me weird or say that I would be better looking if I didn't have like my nose piercing and if I didn't have tattoos. And although that this isn't essentially bullying, it's still just picking out something that's part of you and using that as almost ammunition to be like, you're not good enough as you are. And that's the whole thing linking to like Wednesday Addams and things like that. It's like when you look different and weird as such, people will pick out at it. And yet now that Wednesdays come on TV, everyone sort of joined the bandwagon of being moody and black hair and the braids and the dark dresses, and yeah, it's funny that that's conspired. But going with the title of the video, bullying, unfortunately I am not one of the people who can say that bullying gets better as you get older, because I have been bullied in my adult life, and bullied quite badly as well, to the point where I would just come home crying. I would make up excuses to not go to the place where this person was, and I made myself ill because of it. And I developed eating disorders, as I spoke about in the last video, and just as an adult my mental health declined rapidly as well. And we get a lot of hate online. In fact, that's one thing I need to point out. Back when I was in secondary school, there was this almost it wasn't quite a social media, it was sort of an attachment to a social media, and there was one called Ask FM. And I remember when my best friend Lucy passed away, I got a lot of hate on this Ask FM, and you basically put in anonymous messages and you can say nice things, you can ask people questions, but I was just getting hate. And I had the same person saying that I needed to stop crying and attention seeking, and I need to shut the fluff up about Lucy. And yeah, as a 15-year-old, like I'm 25 now, it's been 10 years, I don't talk about my feelings that much, I don't talk about what's on my mind, I don't really post online about what's on my mind. But as a 15-year-old, I felt like that was an outlet, and so I'd post pictures of Lucy on Facebook and I'd say how much I miss her, and it was my way of coping. And I was basically penalised for that and just looked down upon and moaned at for how I was grieving. And after a while I noticed a pattern with these messages, and I found out through people that it was actually one of my friends. And that really hurt me, and I realised that unfortunately the bullying, even the cyberbullying, was a lot closer than I thought it was, and that really ruined my trust and it caused a lot of trust issues. And yeah, physical assault and bullying in that way can be horrific, but also cyberbullying and bullying verbally can really impact a person as well, especially when you think that the people that you love and the people that you trust, you think that they're there for you, and then to find out that they're the ones who are doing that is absolutely heartbreaking. But yes, going back to sort of present day, being bullied as an adult is very difficult. I have been gaslit, and essentially where I'm made to feel like it's like something will happen, and then when I express my struggles, it's like, oh no, that's not the case, and oh, you're making it all up in your head, and you're the one that's doing this and I'm not doing anything wrong, basically. And it kind of makes you feel like you're going insane and like you are making up in your head, and it's very hard to feel validated. And yeah, I just struggled immensely, and I found it hard to get out of the situation. And yeah, I think as an adult, weirdly, it's harder because you're expected to have your shit together and you're expected to sort of know how to handle these situations. But as an adult, whether you're a young adult or whether you're a bit older, people aren't going to offer you as much help because they think that you should be the one to help yourself. But sometimes, well, it's essentially basically exactly the same as how it was when I was younger. People just look at you and go like, oh, just don't be silly, get over it. But it's a real thing. It's something that it weighs down on you. It causes depression, it causes eating disorders, it causes major struggle. And I got to the point where I didn't want to leave the house because of it, because to try and avoid that, to try and avoid feeling like that, yeah, I'd make up excuses not to go out, and that's not okay, because that's exactly what I did at school. I'm just going to do my eyeliner. I'm not very good at eyeliner. That has not gone to plan, not gonna lie. Worse than yesterday. Yeah, so I basically filmed the short video yesterday when I was going out. Thought that I'd do my makeup to fit the Wednesday look, and then today I thought I would film the full video. I've had to remove the flick. I know what it is. Basically my eyelids, they've got like a hood, and so the crease gets in the way. That's just gonna have to do, guys. I'm not a pro at this. I'm sure I'll get better as I go along. I think I can weirdly do creative looks better than I can do regular looks, which is just weird. So yes, that was a rather discombobulated discussion about bullying. Probably not the best, not the most fluent, not the most flowing, but there are things that I will have missed out, such as bullying in relationships and verbal abuse, various abuse like that, but not appropriate for this video. But yes, I think that schools, workplaces and just everywhere needs to take bullying more seriously. I think that there's weirdly a lot of stigma and for some reason like lack of belief about it as well. And I think that it definitely needs to start in schools where we make interventions, teach young people about the impacts of it, because the impacts of bullying can be life-changing, life-ending, unfortunately. And also, I guess we need to look at the people who are instigating it and look at whether they're okay as well, what's going on in their life, whether they need some help too. We're all just people at the end of the day, we're all the same, and we all go through absolute shite in our lives, and we all deserve love and compassion and kindness, and some of us just need a bit of extra love and a bit of extra understanding, and for someone to go, are you okay? And that's why I think kindness is the most important thing. It's free to give and can make the whole world of difference. I think that worked out okay. That's just the toilet flushing, bit of reality. Yeah, a lot of online hate these days. We recently released the Maybelline and Ditch the Label campaign, and there was a lot of hate and bullying on that video, unfortunately, and that's the whole point of the video. It's about mental health, and Ditch the Label are trying to combat bullying and look at the intervention side of it to see why people bully, the reasons behind it. And I think that if any organisation can help, it will be them. They are an amazing global youth charity, and I believe that they are doing and are going to continue doing great things. Look at that Gothic look. But yes, we ended up, well, Maybelline ended up having to find a way to disable comments because of the bullying on the campaign video on Facebook. And it's just something that we shouldn't have to do. If you haven't got anything kind to say, don't say it. But yes, I'm speaking out about my experiences because one of you who's watching could be someone who needs to hear it, could be someone who's experienced it, could be someone who's in school and currently experiencing it. And some words of advice would be, don't give up on telling your teacher or someone you trust just because you feel like you're not valid, feel like you're being silly, because what you're experiencing, if it's affecting you, no matter how big or small it is, that is 100% valid, and you should get help and support through that. It shouldn't just be something that you think, oh, no one's going to help, so I just need to deal with it. You can go to someone you trust at school, you can go to your parents if they are the kind of people who you feel supported by and trusted. I know that not everyone can go to their parents, so that's something that is completely individual to you. You can also go to helplines online, and as I was just speaking about Ditch the Label, they are an incredible organisation, and they are there for people who need them, mainly from age 12 to 25, and yeah, they have clinically trained mentors who can help you through bullying. I have used the service myself as an adult, as a 25-year-old adult. I have used the service, and they made me feel validated after being gaslit for so long, and helped me take the necessary action to remove myself from that situation and bring more positivity into my life and remove that person and help myself, basically. Bit of fixing spray. even though it's a Monday, and probably going to take this off. But yes, I hope that you've enjoyed this video. As always, there will be, after this part, there will be a list of places that you can go for help and support with your mental health, with struggles, if you're in crisis, and also with bullying as well. As I said, Ditch the Label are a fantastic company, and definitely a place where you can feel heard and validated. There are blog posts on their site that can help you through bullying and anything that you're struggling with. I know that I still go on there when I'm having a bad day, and they've got a new website and a new AI resource, AI function, sorry, that you can type in your problem or a keyword, and it will bring up content that relates to that word or that struggle. So please do go and check that out. And if you're really struggling, they have got mentors on hand 24 hours, and the new campaign Brave Together that Maybelline and Ditch the Label have collaborated with, they are doing incredible things. They are funding 24 hours a day for the next 2 years, every single day, one-to-one mentoring sessions. So if you are one of those people that needs that, definitely take a look at that initiative, definitely check that out, and utilise the resources and tools that are available to you, because I know that even as I turn 26 and I'm out of that category, I'm still going to look towards the website and utilise the resources, because they are so helpful, and yeah, they help me feel worth it and validated. And yeah, it's good to have a positive place to go when the internet feels so scary and so unwelcoming. If you're being bullied, please realise that you are not the reason you're being bullied. These people have possibly got things going on in their life, and you are just an easy target, I suppose. A lot of people have got insecurities, and perhaps they are putting that upon you. There is nothing wrong with you. If you like creepy, weird things, if you like the Addams family, if you are intelligent, if you like geeky things, that is amazing, and you just keep doing you, because there's nothing wrong with you despite what other people say. I got through the worst of bullying and I made it out, I survived, and so can you. Just don't give up on yourself and keep reaching out for help, because someone will listen and someone will make you realise that you are not the problem, you are completely validated. And yeah, we can take steps together to try and figure out where to go and how to move on from the struggling situation. Sorry if my words have come out all babbly and weird. That is just me, and I am wonderful for it. So I hope you've enjoyed this video, and please check out the resources on the next page with all of the places that you can go to, and feel free to stick around, to subscribe, to like if you fancy. And yeah, I hope you have a lovely day, and I hope that you realise how incredible you are just as you are. How about go and look in the mirror and give yourself a little high five, because you should be your biggest supporter. So thank you so much for watching. Here is a little close-up. Let me just take you over to the light. Why didn't I film it like this? Would have made so much more sense. Hey, I've done the whole video the other way now, so it doesn't matter. I promise to get better lighting, better setup. Anyway, thank you, have a lovely day, and please take care of yourself and realise how awesome you are. Bye.